Good evening, everybody. I decided I want to do one more quick video before the night was over, and that is we are going to be talking about Castles and Crusades a little bit. A little quick treasure info generation. And here's the way I do it. Now, let's say, oh, you want your first adventure to be um, this 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 raiding into uh, a goblin lair, right? Well, goblins typically have like up to 400 goblins, right? So we're going to have like a goblin king and all that stuff. It's going to be a very big dungeon. It's going to be a lot. So you probably noticed that according to the monster stat block, category 1 is going to be the treasure, right? So what I did is instead of rolling a percentile die for 50%, I just went ahead and I rolled 2d4 times 10, but I added that 10. And here's how I got my numbers. So we take a look over here, and I rolled up the randomly rolled amount of goblins be 240 warriors. And so I started adding all the elites and the chieftains and the king and the shaman and the acolytes and stuff like that. And of course, I made note of like the females, the juveniles, and the whelps, the non-combatants. But the combatants are what we are primarily interested in. So I started adding them together. I added them to the 10, and so I made the 2d4 times 10 plus the number of goblins, right? And so I arrived originally at right at 1400 gold. And so what I would do is I went over here. And so the 1400 gold, I decided to take 10% out. And I rolled 1d4 and I multiplied it by 10 uh because 10%, and I came up with 40 gems, minus 10. I haven't rolled the value of those up yet, but there you go. And so I took the leftover, and then I added, like, I multiplied by 10% again, so I took out for some more for the extraordinary items, and I rolled 1d2, and then I multiplied it also by 10, and I arrived at 10. So there's going to be 10 extraordinary items. And then, of course, I took 5% of what was left over, and then I started going with the magic items, right? And so we notice here that we have a max XP value of 100. And so I've made all the notes down and everything like that. Now, if you actually take a look, let's go to the rings real quick, right? So, like, I decided that, of course, for the sake of the balance of the monetary and the experience value, I decided to really hold myself to the 100 XP, right? So let's just go take a look at the rings, right? You will notice on this table there's not a single ring that is worth 100 XP. Everything is bigger than that. So what did I do? Well, I simply marked out the rings. I rolled the 2d4 and then multiplied it by 10. I added it back to the score. That's why you start seeing everything start to climb back up. Is because if there was a magic item that did not make sense from an experience point standpoint, I just gave the gold back. So, by the time I was done and over with, we couldn't find any good, decent rings. Potions were better, so I rolled up a spider climb. What I did was I rolled a percentile die, and then let me find it here. Starting, like for example, we had spider climb right off the bat, and the first number I rolled was a 99. And so I worked my way down until I found a 100, and there's spider climb. And then I did it again, and I got endure elements. I marked out the rod, staves, and wands because we couldn't use that. Miscellaneous, I cheated a little bit. Now I did give the 2d4 times 20 gold back in because there's only one or two miscellaneous, but this one made sense, and it was only like 140 XP anyway, so it didn't really tip the scale too much. So I decided, well, I'll keep that. And that was a Stone of Alarm. And so the other two miscellaneous magical items I gave back for, the 2d4 times 20. Armor, shield, we marked it out. Weapon, same thing. We couldn't find nothing that would that would be decent. And so scroll, we arrived at change self because it was a level 1, so it was worth right at 100 gold pieces. But if you're like me and you like to try to run some good old fashioned Castles and Crusades, and you're just like, well, I have a lot of monsters, But like rolling for each individual layer sounds like a slog. Well, rest assured, friends, you can come up with a decent sized treasure hoard by simply going ahead, taking all the gold value, and then using the percentages in the tables, subtracting that from the total gold amount, and working your way back up in case you run into something where uh, you can't find a decent enough experience point value to justify it. So, as always, friends, take care, God bless, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for watching.